Every summer I make a particular kind of art journal. It's a tea-dyed, tea-steeped journal. And I don't plan it too precisely, but it always turns out surprisingly interesting. This year started with a stack of simple collages that went through the transformation of the tea dye process, and ended with a journal that's pretty special. In this video, I'm flipping through the finished journal and sharing a bit about the materials I used, what made it feel different this year, and a few of the choices that surprised me. This is actually a project we make together each year in the Vintage and Collage Club. I won't walk through the full process here, but I did want to show you how it all came together. So last year was when we started experimenting with tea dyeing papers in the Vintage and Collage Club and using those tea dyed papers to create a journal. The reason why I really wanted to explore this a little bit more is because there's something that happens when you put papers into a liquid and then take them out and have them dry, and then you're dealing with something different than, obviously, than when you put it in. Your papers transform, they change, depending on how long you leave them in the water, depending how strong the tea is or coffee, whatever mixture that you're using to subtly dye your paper. There's all kinds of variables that can count for changing the way your paper looks when it comes out and when it dries. Also, we experimented with using pieces of metal to see if we can get things to rust on our papers as well. All those things add character, and it's such a neat thing to take these papers and then create a journal with them. Last year, I did a video flip through of this journal that I did. Here's some of the rusty bits in there. If you want to check that out, I'll put the link in the description for that video. But this year, I did something a little bit different. This year, I have this little journal, this very small one. So here's what it looks like inside. Here is the rusted bit of key. I did get it to work, and then once it does show up on a page, I don't want to cover it up. So I just did a small collage at the base down here. I also dyed a playing card, and that's why I tore it in half, and so you can see both sides of the card. The red color from the covers really did bleed a lot, and it bled so much onto some of the other pages that I had to throw them out just because they were just like solid red. So I did keep bits and pieces of my page, and then I just incorporated them throughout collages throughout the rest of the pages. I used some pieces of postcard, some pieces of photographs, things like that. Here's one of the pages that was really red, but I managed to salvage it by adding a few other paper elements that were not red and just kind of toned it down. This has got some really cool coloration there from the tea, and so I just highlighted it with another blue piece of ephemera, being this old stamp, and it just kind of complements those colors. I put a key here and it made this image difficult to see, but that's all right. It just makes it interesting in general. This spread, I think, is probably my favorite. It's got a lot of things going on. Really interesting photo. This is an old advertisement that's just torn into pieces and placed around. I've got an old postcard. It's got some really nice red coloration. Not too much. Really nice balance of all kinds of things in here. Here's some more interesting color with the purples, and then I just kind of highlighted that with a little bit of a purple stamp. This has got some more of the red back there, mixed in with the purple tea, so that came out very interesting. In this last photo here, there are two women and a little girl, and one of the women is holding a camera. I like to think that this is the photographer who took all of these photos. I want to talk a little bit about these photographs. So I have this container full of photographs. I don't exactly remember where I got this album from. It was either from an estate sale or maybe I got them off of eBay. The album itself was in horrible shape. It was molded, it was falling apart, and it was eaten through by little insects. I don't know what kind of insects eat paper, bore these little holes, round holes, but it was just in awful shape. So bad, I couldn't even bring it inside my house. It was moldy, just disgusting. I considered throwing out the whole thing as an unsalvageable. But when I was looking through the photos, I noticed that they are very well done. Whoever was the photographer not only knew how to take photographs, but knew how to capture, how to get her subjects to relax around her, and how to capture candid moments in a family. And I say her as the photographer. I just have this feeling it was a woman photographer just because some of the pictures that she took of her relatives swimming and things like that, it just seems like the people who she took pictures of were very comfortable around this photographer. And there are a lot of family photos. I wish so much that there was a name connected in this album, but there was not. There was no family name, no name. So I don't know who the photographer was, unfortunately. But I can appreciate these photos. I keep them, I use them in my projects, and that's what I'm just going to continue doing with these. So for some of the materials, I used eyelets, and I just ordered these online, little eyelets and larger eyelets. And for the tool, I use this. It's from Making Memories. I got it secondhand from somewhere. It's basically this. It's this tool where you can remove the heads. If you need to punch the holes, there's this. I just take a hammer and hammer it down. It makes the little hole, and then you switch this out. This little rosette is the thing that you presses the metal down and spreads it so that it attaches onto the fabric piece. I also have this tool, which is kind of a punch. There's a spring in there, and you press it and it will release and then like do the hammering that way. Actually, I think this is the Making Memories thing. It comes in the box. But I don't like that spring release. I'd rather just do it manually with a hammer, and so that is this. I actually don't know if this is Making Memories or another company who made this. I might have just bought this online, just this tool by itself. These are alternate little heads that you can replace. These cut holes kind of lengthwise if you want to make little holes for envelopes or things of that sort. So those are the tools that I use for that. The other materials I used, you will notice this fabric tape. This is Tim Holtz fabric tape. And I used them to wrap the covers to give them a little bit of strength and so that they wouldn't fray so much here. And I also used that tape around the edges of my pages as well. So this was our summer project in the Vintage and Collage Club. Next month, in August, we are doing a vintage styled wallet and an ATC ID card. Here's an example of what one looks like. We are creating this type of little wallet. I've got a piece of currency in here. Here's my ATC. There's a little window in the wallet where you can place that in. So if you would like to make that with us, you are invited to do so. I will put the link in the description where you can check out the club and see if you want to do that. If you're new to collage or still exploring, I have a free download for you, kind of like a beginner's guide to collage art. It's got articles exploring collage, it has a few assignments and activities, and also some great photos and illustrations to get you excited about collage. It's free to download, so get the link in the description. And here is the link for last year's video of my tea dye journal. I hope this really inspires you to create with us the next time we make these journals.